Hey folks, welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm going to be discussing Bo Polny and what he was saying at this Reawakening conference concerning the return of DJT and also this whole thing with the angel of death, which I'm going to touch on in another video too as well, as far as what's been going on politically within the religious community. Right, or the Christian community, the prophetic community, because all these people are all tied together and they kind of run together and they've been sharing the same type of message. And this message has been consistent from 2020 to 2021 and now 2022 as far as DJT returning. So I want to deal with that, and also I want to deal with this whole Reawakening tour thing because there's some disturbing things that I found when I started to dig, and I could dig a whole lot more. There's a lot more that I could share, but I'm just going to touch briefly on this because this deals with the use of Kim Clement in all of this. And so I think these are some of the things that need to be discussed and brought forth within the wealth transfer community, because many of these people are speaking about the wealth transfer and they're saying all these different things relating to the wealth transfer. So I think it merits a video concerning what I see, what is going on. Now, what I believe concerning DJT, that I believe that we are in a Jeremiah 27 and 28 moment. Go and read those chapters and you will see exactly what I am referring to. And in that time period, God had commanded the people of Israel to be under the bondage of Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon. And prophet Jeremiah went to go speak that message, and there were some people that did not like that. And the prophet Hananiah was prophesying against God's will. And I believe that's what's going on right now with the removal of Trump for a time. And the prophets of today are trying to prophesy his return sooner than God's will. And that's one reason why they are constantly getting it wrong, because they are not in alignment with God's will when it comes to DJT. So let's go ahead and play Bo Polny and listen to what exactly he was saying.
The financial rebalancing. The angel of death is coming to visit these people. These people are going down. These people who control the world think that they are pharaohs. The present day pharaohs, soon you shall never see again. This is coming with the greatest wealth transfer in human history. Gold and silver are going to explode in value, giving wealth to the church, to you, so then you can prosper all those around you, because everything when God's kingdom comes in abundance and overflow. All debts, who has credit cards, mortgages, student loans, they will be canceled. Zechariah 1 talks about Thanksgiving. We are days away from Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving? Galatians 6 talks about it. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, thus shall he reap. Those who have planted evil seeds, they are about to get evil upon their own heads. Those who have planted good seeds are about to be blessed beyond measure. We are here. We're going to go dark, and when the lights come on, worldwide celebrations are coming. We are going to see the return this year. 45 comes back, not by his will, but by God's will. God's will shall be done. God gets all the glory.
You heard what Bo Polny said. He talked about the angel of death coming upon all those people, and that all these people are going to disappear, right? You're never going to see them ever again, right? And then he's sitting here saying that DJT is going to come back in 2022. Now he says we are going to see the return this year. 45 comes back, not by his will. He's talking about Trump's will, but by God's will. God's will shall be done. So he's telling you what God's will is in this situation. He's telling you, and here we are, it's the eve of the end of the year for 2022. So obviously it was not God's will for him to return. And could you imagine the people that showed up there? And then right now they're thinking about what he said in that conference. So this is why I say, again, when it comes to these return of DJT prophecies and stuff like that, and there's a mountain of prophets that hit the circuit dealing with this conference. And so I have noticed that there are a lot of people, a lot of prophets that run around in the same group. They're all attending these, and they must be in agreement with the whole thing with calling upon the angel of death and saying that this is God's will, right? Because if you have these people prophesying his return in 2022, they're obviously in this conference and they're in agreement. Because if you're not in agreement with it, then you're not going to attend and speak at this conference, and you're going to tell the truth. And I don't think anybody is at these conferences, right? So here we go again with these prophecies dealing with the return of DJT. No matter how you try to cookie cut it, this is what he said. The crowd is cheering, they're excited, and they're all waiting for it, and all for them to be disappointed. So I'm sitting here, I'm on his YouTube. He has this new video, 8 years left, prophecy of the U.S. presidents and the rise of the Antichrist. He's promoting this Great Awakening tour. And I'm getting ready to share something with you folks that I find very disturbing, right? And they always use Kim Clement. But then they don't talk about his prophecies. They don't talk about the dinar. He's only talking about gold. They're not talking about any of the other wealth transfers that Kim Clement was talking about. They only focus on gold and silver. And I'm going to tell you guys, even Kim Clement said,
Purchase them, but for those that are holding on, nothing, and then suddenly something. Okay, don't hold too tight onto gold. I'm not an economist, trust me, but I hear the word of the Lord sometimes. Don't rely too much upon it.
Okay, so you heard what he said. He said, don't rely too much on it. But yet, at all these conferences, yet on his YouTube channel and so forth, he's pushing gold, silver. So don't rely too much upon it. And the reason why is I did share with you guys, when gold is skyrocketing, if it does reach those $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, you're not going to be able to go in and exchange that, right? Your physical gold, right? Now, if you're trading online, that could be a completely different story. But there always has to be a buyer, okay? Just because something is at a price doesn't mean that you're going to be able to sell it at that price. That's why I warned everybody that if you're thinking that you're going to exchange your physical gold, I would be exchanging it if you are able to, when it starts hitting that 20,000 mark. And you really, when you think about it, folks, the amount of how much gold costs right now, and really the amount of investment you put in, there's not as a great of a return as some of the other prophecies, especially the dinar. Okay, if you were to put $1,800 in the dinar and you get a 1-to-1, that's going to be worth way more. You're looking at over $1.7 million. And so I'm very disturbed about this. And I see this, the Bible versus the Great Reset and all this stuff, right? And they were talking about the angel of death and all this stuff on all, mostly Democrats. So they're stroking your political ego with, destruction to the Democrats and so forth, right? Instead, we should be praying for our leaders. That's one of the things that Kim Clement talked about dealing with Obama. Kim talked about praying. And Kim Clement got so much heat for talking about Obama in the way that he did. And I remember a video that I talked about a long time ago about what Kim Clement was saying about Obama and Obamacare. And he was talking about, that was like one of the number one things that people were writing about was Obama. And you guys wanted him to prophesy against Obama and Obamacare and all that stuff. And it was absolutely ridiculous. But he had a different take on Obama. Go back and go do a prophecy search using that term, okay? Because it's very much different from what these guys are saying. So I'm going to share this clip from Kim Clement, and going back to 2010, dealing with Obama. And it's actually more than what you think it is. In these conferences, they talk about Obama, they talk about the angel of death and all that stuff. But if they understood and paid attention to exactly what Kim Clement was saying, right, then they would be following what he's saying. In these conferences and stuff like that, like Bo Polny and all them, they are not even looking at his prophecies. If they're not even looking at the obvious ones, and actually, if you look at what Kim Clement stood for, you're going to see this in this clip. And it's much bigger than what most people think, according to what Kim Clement was saying.
And I want to tell you something. It's as serious as that. What are you saying? Come and tell us more, Kim. Okay. You want more? I'll give you more. This is how it goes. The serpent bit him, those that were felt safe because they were in the house. But that's where the danger is right now. I'm not going to get in Obama bashing. I'm not going to do that. I have to pray for this president. I don't agree with most of the stuff he's doing, and most of you don't agree with it. And I tell you something, you better pray for him because he is in danger and of losing the control. And that's all I have to say about that. Here's the issue, though. The spiritual aspect of it is this.
And so one of the things is, like they do at these conferences and in these prophets, they're not asking you to pray for any of these people. They're just calling upon judgment upon all these people. They're not saying we should all be collectively praying for these people, right? Praying for the leaders in the White House and so forth. And then yet, what did he say? He said he wasn't going to be a part of the Obama bashing. He's not going to get into it. He said that he was going to be praying for him, right? Even though he doesn't agree with some of the things that he does. But he said that he was in danger and of losing the control. Okay, so obviously what he saw was something bigger than Obama, right? Whatever was going on in the White House and whatever's going on with Obama, it was bigger than him. And people need to understand that. This is why I say when they use Kim Clement's image and all this to promote it, and they kind of quote some of his things he said here and there about exposure and all that stuff, they have no clue and they have no understanding at all whatsoever. But here again, they're using Kim Clement. They don't talk about his prophecies. They don't talk about the dinar. And to me, they just use him. They put his picture up there and they make this battle that you're supposed to be part of to fight against, the virus and this whole thing with the Great Reset. And, we need to donate to all this so we can fight. And this thing has been going on for almost, 2 years now, right? Maybe a year and a half or so. These people have been going around doing this. And this is why I say that here we go again. We got to have all these people going against the will of God, prophesying against the will of God, and then using Kim Clement on top of that. And, you got this guy here, Clay Clark. I know there's a lot of things that I find disturbing about it, and that's why I do not like that whole movement, because it's almost like it's a political and Christian movement that, to me, is not of God. And just to kind of show you some things, says, man, I do research, all right? And there's some disturbing things that I found out about this guy, right? So listen. And there's this guy, he's on here, he's smoking weed or whatever, but he's interviewing Clay Clark. But it's really hilarious. And just take a listen.
Sure. So before we get into why I was kicked out of being a media member at your show, what are your thoughts on Bill Gates?
Bill Gates is a nefarious individual. Who teamed up with the world's most prolific pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, to create their own race of people. And
Why is he on your website?
How's he on my website?
I'm looking at thrive15.com and he's front and center.
We have him listed. If you go to timetofreeamerica.com and thrivetimeshow.com, both of those websites, if you go to timetofreeamerica.com and there's a button right there and it says the truth about Bill Gates.
Isn't thrive15.com your website for business?
Thrive 15 is the online school we started 8 years ago.
And that's where you make your monthly income from, the $54.
No, that is where you charge $19 a month for people to go to an online school.
So that's a separate stream of income of yours, though.
That is a very not profitable business, yes.
But it is yours. Thrive15.com is yours.
That is correct.
Why do you have Bill Gates front and center as, quote unquote, the entrepreneurs and world leaders?
Well, anything on my website that is not good, I have been removing it. I did not know who Bill Gates was. Bill Gates is a nefarious individual. I did not know like the deception of Bob Saget. I had to change the cover of the book. So that's why the book cover got changed there. So I'm constantly, so anything that you find on my website that's not good, but if you look through this.
I appreciate the promotional effort here, but I just want to ask you another question.
Sure.
Who is Lee Cockerell?
Lee Cockerell is the former executive vice president of Walt Disney World Resorts. He's right here in my book.
You're a guy that makes a lot of money. Why? I mean, you knew Bill Gates was on your website. Why is he still there?
Well, that website's massive. There's thousands and thousands of pages. That's what I'm going through and changing everything for.
I'm on Thrive15.com home page, front and center. I can show it to you. Let me.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying anything that's on the website, I'm going through and removing these things right now. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, I just want to show you what I'm talking about. Here's Thrive15.com.
Sure.
He's selling the courses, and then there's Bill Gates.
Speak to her, and
Okay,
she can make a call to actually at their church.
That's just me, because I wouldn't go even if you allowed me to, finding out that you're limiting the speaker's freedom of speech. I wouldn't go. Or it's okay for a friend.
Yes, there's multiple.
If you agree to it.
All right, so that's just one part of it. He was saying that what I find to be very interesting, and it didn't take somebody, a Christian or whatever, but he has Bill Gates on his site. Now, this is back on January 12th of 2022 when this was published. He has Steve Jobs and some other people, right? So Bill Gates is right there, front and center. Now, the interesting thing is that here on Newsmax, this was posted July 15th of 2020. This was actually during the time dealing with the virus and everything. And I'm not going to play it, but this is where Clay Clark calls Bill Gates a, whatchamacallit, right? Because of Mr. E and the island and all that stuff, all right? So this was almost 2 years prior to this particular interview. So I want to play another part because there's some other things that I find disturbing that people do not see.
And looking to, I never.
Why do people call you a Satanist? Let's change gears. Why do people call you a Satanist? Why is everybody calling you a Satanist?
Because I have a book cover called Boom, and on the Boom book cover, a graphic designer by the name of Darlin Tucker, who's been on my payroll for 10 years, suggested that we go with a Terminator theme, which made sense because the movie made sense to me. And then now, knowing what I know, I removed it. That's all I can do. I mean, I've read many books that have been written over the years. That's why that is.
Just so many coincidences. I don't know what happened. Bill Gates just on the website. I don't know. I just think that you're just. There's multiple.
There's multiple Disney references in my book. There's Bill Gates. I'm not hiding from it. And as I go through it, I remove them. But I've written 13 books. How many books have you written?
Still on your website as a board member. Why?
He's not a board member. Lee Cockerell literally invested in the business.
Oh, he gave you money.
Yes, because that's how you start a company. This is Lee
Oh
Cockerell.
my God! How much money did he give you?
$100,000 he invested in the business.
Damn! What'd you have to give him for that?
He received a percentage of gross revenue, and then he was paid off.
Does he have any creative control, or has he ever?
No.
Never. Not a phone call, not a, hey, don't do this, don't do that.
No, but that's Lee Cockerell. He's the former executive vice president of Walt Disney World Resorts. He managed 40,000 employees, wrote a book called Time Management Magic that I actually co-authored with him, helped him put together. I have no problem with that, but I disagree with him about these things, and so therefore we no longer work together.
I don't know. I guess I had to sign it because the church made me. I think that there's too many coincidences surrounding you and your whole operation for me to ever go to one of your events or to ever talk positively about you again, man. I think
you don't need to talk. I totally disagree with you, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinions.
Regardless how you look at it, I'm not looking as one spiritual person trying to interview another spiritual person. This guy's trying to get to the bottom of things. He's investigating, right? And the whole thing started was because his speech was limited. He wasn't allowed at one of his conferences or something like that. But you can see that there's something else going on there. The former vice president of Disney gave him $100,000. And we already know his name is Lee Cockerell. And we already know if you follow Disney, you know his political beliefs and stance and what Disney stands for, right? And so that has not changed. So he claims he doesn't work with them anymore and so forth. Like, okay, but there is really too many coincidences. And I want to share some things here. And the first one is here. You see here is a book from Clay Clark. And he's got the eye, right, in the pyramid. And so you already know about that. It's the art of getting things done. Shh, God is watching. Okay, so I have no idea what this is all about and why that he would even choose that. Then we have another one where it's a boom. He's using that whole Terminator look thing or whatever, right? And there's some things that I found disturbing as far as this whole entire setup. Things they just don't seem right. And then here again, when you look at his book cover and some of the things in the symbolism that he has on the back here, again, there is way too many coincidences relating to this. And I belong to groups that talk about, and there's so much more that I could show you. I just don't have time to get into every little thing. Yeah, and I'm going into 2023 differently. All this stuff is, to me, it's not of God. That's my opinion. All I'm doing is just sharing the information, and we're just seeing time after time after time that their prophecies, their in what they're promoting and all this stuff, there's so much more to it. And this is not God. And I hate the fact that they're using Kim Clement in this. Kim Clement, when you read about what he says as far as praying for salvation of souls and all this stuff, he would not be a part of this. He would not be a part of this at all whatsoever. I just wanted to share all this, folks, because going into 2023, I want to go into a whole lot differently, and we're going to watch and we're going to see many prophets fall. And because of what they have been speaking, you can only continue to falsely prophesy over and over and over and over again. So this is not how Kim Clement would operate. And, eventually I think God is going to deal with all this. And actually he is, because all these prophecies aren't coming to pass. Right? Whether it's a prophet, whether it's these predictions, or all these people here talking about the return of DJT in 2021 and 2022, and none of that stuff happened, and people are still following blindly, and that's why I say, when the real false prophet comes on the scene, none of you guys who continue to follow these people are going to recognize it, and then you'll be defending him too as well, and by then it'll be too late. And all this stuff is all really about Trump worshipism, man. And I think that's just one of the reasons why. I mean, I have said some constructive criticism about DJT, right? There's a lot of things he said he was going to do, and he didn't do it. He's the most powerful person in the United States, and he allowed all these things to take place. He allowed all the corruption in the stock market to continue on. He didn't drain the swamp. He should have started with the stock market. He didn't even touch it. And people just, the backlash is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, the question I have for Bo Polny is, if you're constantly talking about Kim Clement, you're using his prophecies, right, to fit your thing, how come you don't ever talk about Kim Clement talking about don't rely too much on gold? How come you don't talk about the dinar or any of his other prophecies? So I find that very, very strange. So anyways, folks, I just wanted to share this information and to let people know, going into 2023, we got to look at things differently. We got to test the spirits. We got to say, when a prophet makes a dated prophecy, or a prophecy with a time frame, or a prophecy that on certain events that are supposed to take place and they don't happen, then you know what? Then they were not from God. We got to realize that, because I've shared this and what God shared with me, and I told you guys in the video that people that continue to listen to these people who keep giving dated prophecies and they fail, you're going to make a mistake. Some major mistakes when it comes to this wealth transfer. Some of the decisions that you're going to make, you're going to regret. And some decisions you make is going to end up taking you out, or you're going to lose your family and so forth, because you're listening to these people that are not being ordained to talk about the wealth transfer in the way that we know it. And they're going to lead you on the wrong path. So that is all that I have for today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.